Freehold Chamber.
Freehold Trail, yeah,
Freehold
Freehold Chamber.
of Commerce.
But that's the purpose of the name, is just to signify to the folks outside of the city of Pearsall that we're really trying to benefit the whole community. So, anyway, council, any other questions for these folks? Hearing none, thank you guys very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we have another presentation. We've got CDM Smith regarding the I-35 sanitary sewer and lift station project. City manager, you have.
Stacy Barnes here with CDM Smith, and part of this is a presentation, but there's also an action item here a little bit further down the agenda. In saying that, but I don't want to confuse things too much. On page 6 of your packet, what you find is a presentation. It's a small slide, a couple of slides that show that there were 2 considerations for a design, or looking at a design for the sewer line. And first, what you have is option A and option B. You see it on page 7 of your packet. And I won't, steal Stacy's thunder, but it is something to consider that, and she'll kind of go over what the distinctions are regarding those 2 options. But we are requesting later on the packet that we fund this design for this sewer line.
Stacy, welcome. I did, before I forget, City Secretary, indicate please in the records that Councilman Leal got here at 6:05 and Councilman Rodriguez got here at 6:08. Okay, Stacy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Again, Stacy Barnes, CDM Smith. Appreciate coming before you. So thank you, Mayor and Council, and Mr. Reyes. So today, and usually Wendy Lundin would be with me. You might recall her from some previous meetings when we were talking about the water line. Unfortunately, she was ill, so you just get me tonight. Go ahead and flip the slide, please. Thank you. Okay. So basically, we had started, back when we initially started looking at designing the water line, there was discussion of also doing the wastewater line for the I-35 annex, business annex piece at that time. At that point, that wasn't pursued, we just did the water line. And so we spoke with Mr. Reyes and Hector, and they had asked us to prepare the scope to start looking at the wastewater line. So what you see here was actually likely noted in your packet is option B. And this was, we had discussed option A was actually something that your previous engineer a few years ago had recommended. So you'll see that as your first map, and that's what Mr. Reyes was describing. And it showed a lot of laterals cutting across the road with just the line on one side. This option shows basically 2 parallel lines for the gravity sewer on both sides of the road. You can see where the force main is actually in orange there on the left side of your screen, coming out from where the high school is, where it would connect in. And then, to me, those larger pink circles would be your lift stations. And then you basically have, and it's a little difficult to see here on the screen, but in the middle, you've got where it would connect trenchless across the street once. So the other option would have had it going across the street multiple times, which is pretty disruptive and not easily permitted when you, as far as working with TxDOT. So this option would be a little bit easier for us to do for the city. So this is what would be proposed. We can go ahead and advance the slide, please. Yes, sir.
Quick question. I see on that option where there's 2 parallel lines coming down the business loop.
Yes, sir.
Having only one underground in the center of it. I'm not no engineer by profession, by all means, but I just see just one going underneath might cause a problem in the future if that for some reason were to clog up, something happens. Is there a backup for all that sewer on the other side to make its way over here?
Okay, so actually, can you go back a slide, please? So, I don't know if you can see very well on this slide. Basically, the lift stations will keep it moving. As far as on the ends, there is, I'd probably have to get back to you to show it to you a little bit clearer, but there are some other options for where it would go on the more southern side of the road.
Councilman, you're not suggesting that, again, the line be run on the middle of the TxDOT road, right?
No, because right there you see both lines. you see both lines
Yes,
coming
sir.
down towards the left, or my left, I don't know what it is on your side. And then right there where you got that lift station in between the school and the Jack's Produce, right slightly north of that, what I would call north, there's that cross path, that,
I see.
trenchless sewer.
Yep.
Now, if that line on the top, for some reason, that trenchless were to either cave in or get clogged, that sewer on the top, how would that make its way over to this side where the lift stations are?
You wanna help out here?
Can I, yeah, I can answer that. Basically, what you're not seeing here, there's gonna be manholes in place at X amount of distance between each other. And that's how you diffuse that problem. There's no, what you're not seeing here is that line on top is V'd out. It's got current going to the
Right.
middle of that thing. And in between those, every 3 to 500 feet, there'll be a manhole. That would allow us to, in case that happens, the worst case scenario happens, we're allowed to penetrate and then declog the issue, and whatever backup we may have. So,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, would it be wise to go ahead and put 2 trenchless sewers versus just one, in case one does clog up, we have another one that can still be flowing while we unclog that one? And prevent that on the top side, or I guess that would be the west side of the business of 35,
right.
keeping that from backing up to all those people on that side.
I see what you're saying. It doesn't help or hurt a second lateral, a second bore underneath, for so long as you have a manhole, an entry point, an access point, I
You
should
just
say.
say it happens on Friday night.
Then we're there, we'll hit the manhole, too. That's how we do it here in town currently. We have manholes everywhere, and basically what you're, to me, the more you have, the more room for error. So that's
Yeah,
my
because
take on
in
it.
town, we have, it's looped, or, you got multiple pathways. Over there, you're just gonna have that one,
Well,
because.
not necessarily, in town, you have your flows to the next manhole.
Correct.
And then from that manhole, because whenever there's a backup, we go to the manhole that's not backed up, and then we address it from there. So either way, no matter how you look at it, a second one would, it might make sense in the long run, but it wouldn't necessarily help as much as you think it would.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, short time, it might not affect anything, but I'm thinking long term, where our kids are sitting up here and they're saying, man, why didn't they think about doing this then?
Stacy, from an engineering perspective, comments on that?
Yeah, certainly we could look at a second line. The thought being, and eventually the city might be growing further, so you could do another lateral, another cross down the ways there, so. I honestly, with the manholes, I think it would be fine. I'd agree with Hector on that, but certainly it's, 1 or 2 crossings is still gonna be, there was like 20 proposed going across there to each business, which, didn't make a whole lot of sense, so, certainly something we could look at. It's something we could look at further in design and get back to if there's a concern, but right now, as written, we didn't see a concern with only doing the 1 crossing as far as actually having all the flow.
And that's roughly how many feet on the west side, like in the middle?
And I think the whole thing is 16,000 linear feet, so it would be
A mile.
about half on each side.
Okay. Right, Stacy, go ahead.
Okay, so the next slide really is just a cost breakdown. And for this, we'd originally looked at 2 different ways to go. One was to go through 30% design, and then the other was through 100% design. And I think that was more debating on funds, if there was a funds limitation, so we proposed both of those to Mr. Reyes. I think the option to go to 100% design, so it's ready to construction, was the preferred method from my understanding. And that basically is so that would include 100% design for 460 days, $467,411. The $497.21 is just the addition if there is, be more time and materials if there's a need to purchase easements.
And part of the council, again, from a funding standpoint, what we're looking for is again, looking for funding sources when it comes to construction that we can I wouldn't say reduce our costs, but I'm saying that there's a way to maybe get some of this financed and we're not having to pay for the entire construction cost. So that's the goal. So that's what we're shooting for, with this design, to get this done in as cost efficiently as possible.
And this project was also included in the intended use plan, for the state revolving fund. It included design costs and construction costs. So that project is on the list for the potential to be funded, you know, with hopefully a low interest loan and or some principal forgiveness as well.
What we're looking for, quite frankly, is principal forgiveness. I mean, that's what we're looking for. That's the goal as far as I'm concerned.
So, council, we're gonna have a chance to revisit this in just a moment when it comes to action item, correct, Commander?
Yes.
So we can discuss that more, and there's more to say about that, but, Stacy, anything else? You're gonna be
No,
up
just,
here
I
in just a
didn't know,
minute again.
I didn't know if there was any other questions about the project.
I have none.
Okay, all right, very good.
Thank
Stacy,
you.
thank you very much. All right, now we're gonna go on to item 7A. At this time, we're gonna open a public hearing. It is 6:32. There's a public hearing request to do a conditional use permit for Gary Hernandez to place a 76 by 15.5 2022 manufactured home on his property located at 1406 East Hines. Property description is included. This is an open hearing. So we are now officially open.
Mayor, did we discuss this already? Yes.
On the
Gary
January
Hernandez?
10th meeting, whenever.
To get into
the
open
public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, can we go ahead and combine A and C?
I was just seeing that on the agenda order, y'all have like all the permits like all scattered, maybe next time you put them all together.
Reason we do that is simply because all the folks that are on, all the folks that are on there, and they're all pretty much the same, they're all, you know, that they may be or are here. Particularly people that come from out of town and folks that are here for.
Yeah, but you have some on the top and then you have some on the bottom. It'd be best to put
Those are-
everybody that's going in for approval for that to the
Those
top.
are just for public hearing.
Yeah, I see.
It's not for
Yeah,
actual.
it's not ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So
can we go ahead and
this,
put A and C?
I'm gonna go ahead and open up, item 7C. At the same time, this will be a public hearing for
And then
both
he has
Gary
another one.
Hernandez and Ariel Manzanares. And so at this time, we are in a public hearing. Is there anybody that wishes to speak on behalf, either for or against, these items? Conditional use permit at 1406 East Haines and a conditional use permit at, North Roosevelt. Anybody? Okay. Not hearing any, it is now 6:32. I'm gonna close the public hearing on item 7B and 7D. We are now, closing our public hearing, and we're gonna go on to our new business on item 8A. Okay, discuss and consider a task order for the design of the business, I-35 sanitary sewer and lift station project. This is an action item. I'm gonna ask for a motion in a second,
Motion.
please. A motion by Councilwoman Rodriguez, may I have a second? Second by Councilman Trevino. City Manager?
I'll pass this over to our Public Works Director, Mr. Randall. He wrote the supporting memo, which is on page 10. Yeah, but I think you have option B.
Yes. Good evening. Basically, what we're doing here is we're recommending that we go with option B of the design perspective here. And not going with the there's like 14 laterals going across the textile right away, and that would be a nightmare. Try to get that permitted. It's basically what we got.
And on this council, again, part of this is, there was a service plan whenever this area was annexed. And we did include the service plan, which is on page 20. On page 20, page 22, there's a sanitary sewer service was part of the service plan. So we have the design for the water, and the next phase is the sanitary sewer service. So that's where we're at. We're requesting for approval for the design of the sewer line. Yes.
So council, this is, as we annexed this property in 2018, this is part of the agreement that we agreed to bring the water and the sewer up there. And so again, this is the design stage. It's just to do the engineering work to lay those lines in there. A key component of having the design stage done is to be shovel ready. And so as there is infrastructure monies available, probably Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, but more so now than there has been in quite a while.
Yes.
It's essential that we get the engineering work done in order to do that. Of course, as you see, it comes with a pretty heavy price tag, but it is part of what we said we were gonna do, and so we need to get y'all's consideration. Other questions, we need to move forward with this so that we're ready. Again, we're gonna, most likely, it's yet to be determined, but we're gonna tag team this with the water line. You guys know the price tag associated with this. This is going to have a substantial price tag with it as well. As we talked about in our workshop, the revenue generated from that annexation is substantial for the city as far as that's concerned. And then, build it and they will come premise, hopefully we get that infrastructure in, we get our Chamber of Commerce working, we start really promoting Frio County. Hopefully we can get some development, some industry, some jobs, sales tax revenue, ad valorem taxes, so on and so forth. So, council, we've got Stacy here, okay. Is there any other questions? I'm not hearing any. We've got a motion in a second already.
But wouldn't we have to go back and revise the motion? Because here it just says to consider for the design. We have to choose the design.
The option B was recommended.
Yeah. So the motion that I made was just to consider the task order.
Okay.
So I would like to rescind my motion and reconsider the task order for option B.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Rodriguez. There's rescinding of that motion. James, you seconded the first time. Would you agree to that?
Yeah.
Second, there's a second there. Council, is there any other questions? Hearing none, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you very much. Thank
Mayor,
you.
could we move F and G, because that was with the open public hearing, that's what I was speaking on, that we just finished the open public hearing and we have it down here
Okay,
on F and G, so they don't have to wait.
sure. Councilwoman, would you like to make a motion to do that?
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to move F and G.
Okay, to right now. Very
Yes.
good. All right, there's a motion on the table to move items A, F, and G to the forefront. Is there a second? There's a second by Councilwoman Hernandez. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed unanimously. At this point, we're gonna go to item F. This is an action item, discuss and consider ordinance number 2023-0201, allowing the placement of a 76 by 15.5, 2022 manufactured home for Mr. Hernandez. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
A motion by Councilman Trevino, may I have a second?
Aye.
Second by Councilman Leal. At this time, is there any other questions, City Secretary? Do you have anything regarding this?
There were no negative responses to the letters that we sent out for both properties.
Okay, for both properties, all right. Council, is there any other questions?
Quick question, may I ask Councilwoman
You sure may.
Rodriguez, since there was no negative response, if she would like to combine both of them together?
We can do that.
That's fine.
Okay, it's actually Councilman Trevino, weren't you the first?
No, that's right.
Okay, I got that
I'm
wrong,
still
forgive me. All right, Councilwoman Rodriguez, okay. She has amended her motion to include a favorable vote on item 8F and 8G, allowing both manufactured homes for Mr. Hernandez and the Manzanares family. Mr. Leal, you concur with that as a second? Very good. Any questions regarding item 8F and 8G? None? I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you very much. We completed item F and G. Now we move on to 8D. Discuss and consider authorizing city manager to award and negotiate a contract with Albert Martinez, DBA Motormount Entertainment for the event coordinator services for the Hispanic Heritage Festival.
Motion.
There is a motion by Councilman Leal.
Second.
There's a second by Councilwoman Hernandez. I'm gonna turn the floor over to city manager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, in your packet on page 24, you have a supporting memo from me regarding this event. And so I think the city staff put an RFP out similar to what we put out in the past for this service. It was put out December of 2022. We accepted proposals until February 3rd, 2023. We had one proposal, which was from Motormount Entertainment. And you can see, beginning on page 26, you can see the proposal that he's provided. He's proposing the event to be held sometime between September 15th, October 15th, 2023. He's also proposing some other things there. He is requesting $100,000 for this event. He does show a marketing plan, entertainment, so on and so forth. The last thing is that